Welcome to our channel. We are sincerely trying to choose interesting stories, so we would really like to see your subscription.
I'm Gerald, a 51-year-old working in a consulting firm focused on financial investments. My ex-wife Patricia is 47, and we share two sons aged 18 and 19. Despite working hard, I provided well for my family during our 17-year marriage. Patricia was a wonderful wife, managing our home, planning holidays, and shining at family gatherings. I've always strived to be a responsible provider. Patricia, though beautiful, lacked skills in areas unrelated to her strengths, such as car repairs and financial matters. She excelled in fashion choices, and I supported her cosmetic procedures. After our 16th anniversary, challenges arose during the COVID-19 pandemic, impacting the global economy. My income decreased, leading to a need for reduced spending. However, Patricia's dissatisfaction grew as she couldn't indulge in shopping or socializing. Post-pandemic, her habits resumed, but her attitude changed. To overcome financial difficulties, some aspects of our home life had to be deprioritized. Patricia turned to TikTok during her free time and gained a significant following. Unfortunately, this led to her distancing herself from me. Her videos, initially lighthearted, took a darker turn, discussing freedom and women's oppression. She even made a concerning video praising Mia Khalifa. A conversation I had with Patricia ended in her unexpected request for a divorce, leaving me shocked. It felt like our years of love and companionship were unraveling. When I asked her about the divorce, she claimed she didn't feel loved, citing our perceived incompatibility and how we no longer looked good together. Reflecting on my demanding job, I realized I hadn't prioritized fitness, leading to weight gain. I never saw my wife as a status symbol, and I never expected to be discarded based on appearance after 17 years. Devastated, I offered to improve my fitness, but she declined, expressing a need to feel loved and explore the world. I warned her of potential challenges outside our secure home at the age of 47. Despite my plea, Patricia remained steadfast. I informed our sons, and they too were shocked and concerned about her well-being due to past incidents. Attempts to dissuade Patricia failed, and thoughts of investigating her fidelity crossed my mind. However, I decided against it to avoid additional pain. Consulting my lawyer, I initiated divorce proceedings. With no joint account, most of my money was in a trust for my son's education and potential business ventures, and I lacked a substantial amount in my personal account. I provided Patricia with a substantial sum from the sale of our home, and she was content with it. However, I've reached a point where I've decided not to invest more time in my relationship with Patricia. I've realized that my intense desire to make her happy might have influenced her decision to leave, and I'm prepared to focus on the next chapter of my life. We got divorced, and on the day we met in court, I questioned her understanding of the consequences. She expressed her desire for freedom, claiming she would soon be soaring high in the sky. Post-divorce, Patricia moved to a new leased apartment while I continued with my life and eventually bought a small apartment. Shortly after, my colleague Maria asked me out for dinner, and we started dating over the next few weeks. Maria, an intelligent and attractive woman, became my companion. Meanwhile, Patricia continued with her video content, explaining in one video why she got divorced, expressing her longing for love after 17 years of marriage. Many of her followers supported her decision. As I checked her followers, I noticed most were middle-aged women, suggesting like-minded individuals coming together. I anticipated that Patricia would soon realize the challenges of being single, and it didn't take long for it to happen. In her videos, Patricia expressed concerns about daily tasks and eventually shared her Tinder profile, seeking potential dates. She even mentioned choosing who would be lucky enough to date her. I found her actions disgusting and unexpected. Later, she shared another video about her ex-boyfriend from Tinder, seemingly unbothered by the encounter. In a subsequent video, Patricia laughed about her experiences with 2 or 3 night stands, indicating a rapid decline in her standards. Meanwhile, my relationship with Maria was thriving, and we planned a Memorial Day trip with my sons. I didn't inform Patricia, believing she no longer deserved to be a part of our lives. When Patricia saw our family pictures on Instagram, her comment expressing maternal connection didn't sit well with her kids. My younger son wasn't pleased with her comments and promptly removed them. The next day, she took to TikTok, expressing her feelings of being unloved and not having the chance to work outside the home. She lamented feeling like a prisoner, oppressed after the kids were born, taking care of them full time. Patricia talked about my accumulated wealth, feeling nearly broke, and perceiving betrayal in the divorce. Tearfully, she spoke of spending Memorial Day alone, observing others with their families. Chad and Tyrone seemed busy, leaving her isolated. Despite earning money for the family's well-being, Patricia chose to leave the life of luxury, facing consequences she was warned about. In her subsequent video, she revealed a black eye, claiming her Tinder date assaulted her at a bar when he got drunk. Police arrested the date, and she vowed to stop online dating, seeking gentlemen at local shopping centers. Doubts lingered about gentlemen approaching a 47-year-old for a date. I've proposed to Maria, and my sons are happy and supportive, unaware of Patricia's situation. She has become a cheap source of entertainment for me, dancing in her undergarments on TikTok. A colleague asked about Patricia's well-being, assuming mental issues. I redirected him to connect with Patricia, confused about his inquiry. I missed a video where Kathy regretted leaving her marriage, crying and expressing longing for her gentleman husband and dear sons. She claimed men only sought cheap thrills and one-night stands, lacking genuine love. Patricia contemplated returning home, hoping for forgiveness. I noted that the boat had sailed, and she must lie in the bed she made outside her home. I cautioned you, reminded you, and pleaded with you, but your stubborn pursuit of what you called love and freedom led to your disillusionment. Your followers made you believe you made a great choice. In your absence, I found a wonderful partner and true love, while you were merely increasing your body count. I wish you well, but I don't want you to even consider returning. I am an investment expert, not a junkyard dog. I got married in a private ceremony with my sons, close family, and friends. Patricia somehow discovered it and disrupted the ceremony, screaming and nearly destroying the wedding cake. My son's insecurity intervened, escorting her out. She waited outside, hurling abuses and blaming me for her misery. She tried to harm Maria, but my son stopped her, and the police arrested her. Hearing about Patricia's antics, someone described her as a level 47 Karen, and I almost laughed. We obtained a restraining order against her, hoping to keep her away. It's been 6 months, and I'm enjoying a vacation with Maria in Paris. Life is good. I still follow Patricia on TikTok, enjoying her crazy rants. The day I discovered my wife's infidelity was unexpected. There were no prior suspicions, and our relationship seemed fine. That morning, after an intimate moment, I found myself changing for a meeting with my publisher, running late but deeming it worth it. However, when I returned home 3 hours earlier than usual, hoping to continue the morning's intimacy, I was confronted with the shocking sight of my wife engaged in an affair in our pool with her best friend. My initial reaction was anger and the urge to grab a knife, contemplating harming one or both of them. However, seeing her friend's face halted my aggressive intentions. He had always been part of our lives, a friend since before we met. I was hurt, betrayed, and angry, but acting violently seemed illogical. I observed them for half an hour, then left, uncertain of my next move. As an author with no physical prowess, my only weapon was my intellect. Returning to the office, I fabricated an excuse for my unexpected return, having the gate man report my brief presence at home. In the empty office, I sought ideas to deal with the situation. That night, a plan began forming in my mind. I visited my lawyer, a friend seeking advice on divorces and their financial implications. I learned about matrimonial actions and devised a strategy to safeguard my assets. The plan involved transferring everything to a trusted third party before the divorce proceedings, leaving my wife with nothing. I implemented the plan meticulously, seeking legal advice to ensure its success. As I executed my plan, the news of a new novel in progress spread among our circle of friends, including my wife's lover and his wife, who was an enthusiastic fan. I fed her tidbits about the book, making her eager for updates. Meanwhile, I monitored my wife's activities using Google Latitude on her new iPhone, uncovering her rendezvous with her lover. For several months, I tracked her movements, collecting evidence. Eventually, I made a strategic move, surprising her with a sudden return home. As I continued my investigations, the seventh weekend provided the opportunity to expose her infidelity. I called her, claiming to be on my way home, and observed her reactions. The plan unfolded as I returned and confronted her, armed with the knowledge to dissolve our marriage legally. His black Honda Accord zoomed by in under 5 minutes. Part 2 happened the next weekend. After dropping me off, she went home first and then to a motel in Barrie. She spent the entire weekend there. I called her lover's home and his wife answered. I asked her about safety precautions on oil rigs, sparking her excitement. Temporarily sated, she explained a few things to me before I hung up. Just before dropping her off, I sent my regards to her lover, who, she mentioned, had to travel for business. Smiling, I revealed my plans for a move to Ghana, citing the setting of the second part of my book. For a month, I stayed home every day, sensing her desperation. As the relocation date neared, I told her I'd make one last trip to Lagos. We had already sold our cars, so I took a taxi directly to Sharon. She was in Barrie within an hour of my departure. I made calls, confirmed bookings, and awaited signed documents. Then I called her lover's wife, feigning a writing rut and offering her the manuscript to read. She was sad but agreed. The next morning I called again, claiming my return to Abuja. She offered to drive over, but I was already in a cab to pick her up. We checked into adjoining rooms, separated only by thin walls. I handed her my explicit manuscript, and as she read, the lovers next door started their loud escapades. I took advantage of the situation, engaging in an affair with her. The noise of our lovemaking competed with theirs, and when she climaxed, she screamed my name loudly. The next room fell silent. I smiled as she fell asleep. The next morning, I heard their door open. I stepped out with divorce papers, handed them to her, and walked out. When her lawyer tried for a settlement, I revealed I had nothing left. I had donated everything to a Ghanaian charity, leaving them broke and unable to reconcile. I sold my story, and the success of the book covered my tracks. I bought a new home, cemented over the pool, and found solace in my peaceful nights. Never did I imagine finding myself in this situation, discovering my wife Jane's affair with Chad after what I thought was a decade of happiness. The betrayal hit me hard, and I needed an outlet for my anger and hurt. Stumbling upon incriminating Facebook messages from Chad, I knew I had to handle the situation differently and not just explode in anger. My brother's advice urged me to be methodical and ensure consequences, avoiding regret later. I didn't want to regret not taking action. After days of plotting, an idea formed: nuclear revenge that would help me heal and teach Jane a lesson. Reaching out to Chad's wife, Sarah, on Facebook, I was surprised she was calm and wanted revenge too. We hatched a devious plan to go on a date, intentionally seen by Jane and Chad to turn the tables on them. It seemed like the perfect way to make them taste their own medicine. Initially hesitant, the more I thought about it, the more I loved the idea. As Friday approached, the night Jane and Chad were supposed to meet, I played along with Jane's plans, my heart pounding with anticipation. Sarah and I knew the rendezvous point at a swanky bar in the city. Jane left, thinking she was heading out with a friend, and Chad fed Sarah a story about going out with buddies. Sarah and I dressed up, excitedly acknowledging the sadness and frustration underlying our actions. Arriving at the bar, we spotted Jane and Chad blissfully unaware. Hand in hand, we walked over, ordered drinks and appetizers, stealing glances at Jane and Chad until they finally noticed us. The shock on their faces was priceless, like they'd seen a ghost. I could almost hear the gears turning in their heads as they grappled with the unexpected turn of events. Sarah and I laughed and flirted, turning their cozy corner into a chaotic scene. Chad confronted us after about 15 minutes, trying to pass off the situation as a huge coincidence. I played it cool, acting as if running into him was no big deal. The look on their faces was absolutely priceless. Chad, at a loss for words, mumbled some excuse and disappeared. Jane, unable to bear the weight of her deceit, stormed out of the bar, tears streaming down her face. Our mission accomplished, Sarah and I shared a high five. The satisfaction of turning the tables on our cheating spouses was indescribable. We lingered at the bar, finishing our drinks, realizing we had a lot in common. As the night progressed, we exchanged stories, sharing our pain. Over the next few weeks, both of our marriages crumbled, and Sarah and I supported each other through divorce. While we aren't a couple, we became great friends, providing invaluable support to move on from the past. Move on